All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to move way beyond the kind of AI you already know. You know, the one that can write a poem or answer a trivia question. We're diving into the next big thing, autonomous agents. And these aren't just passive tools. Nope. These are more like digital colleagues designed to perceive, reason, and actually act on our behalf. So let's explore how they really work.
For the last couple of years, the whole conversation has been about generative AI, right? But the big question everyone's asking now is, what's next? And the answer, it turns out, is a huge shift from a passive AI that just spits out information to an active AI that actually goes out and gets things done.
And this is what we call agentic AI. You know, think of it like this. If generative AI is this brilliant researcher who can find any fact you ask for, agentic AI is the project manager. It takes that research, builds a plan, delegates the tasks, and actually sees the project all the way through to completion. It's an active system specifically designed to make real changes in its digital world.
So, how in the world do you build one of these autonomous agents? Well, you don't start from scratch. You use something called a framework. So let's pop the hood and take a look at what makes these systems tick.
You know, at the very heart of every single agent is a 5-stage cycle. We call it the agentic loop. So first, it perceives its environment. That could be a prompt from you or some data from an API. Then it uses a large language model for reasoning, just to figure out what the goal is. Next, it forms a plan, a step-by-step sequence of actions. Then comes the action itself, maybe calling a tool or shooting back a response. And finally, and this is crucial, it learns from the result to make its strategy better for next time. It's this continuous, non-stop cycle of thinking and doing.
So these frameworks, they give you 5 essential building blocks. The orchestration engine, think of it as the conductor, making sure all the different tasks are working in harmony. Memory management gives the agent its context, both for what's happening right now and what happened in the past. The tool integration layer is how the agent actually connects to the real world through APIs, databases, you name it. And, super important, the guardrails are the safety net, making sure the agent operates within safe and secure boundaries.
Using a framework like this has massive benefits, especially for a big company. They can break down really complex goals into smaller pieces. That's called task decomposition. And they're resilient. If one step fails, they can just replan and try again. But, and this is a big but, there are trade-offs. Latency can be a real issue, because a single task might need to call the LLM dozens of times. And their behavior isn't always predictable. That means the same input might give you different outputs, which makes traditional quality assurance, well, a huge challenge.
Okay, so now that we get the architecture, let's meet the main players in the space. These are the top 5 frameworks that are really defining how developers are building autonomous agents right now.
Here's a quick look at the landscape. You can see right away that LangChain and its successor, LangGraph, have a massive footprint on GitHub. I mean, the community around them is enormous. But you've also got these more specialized frameworks like CrewAI and AutoGen that are getting some serious momentum, and each one has its own unique philosophy. Let's start with the powerhouse, LangGraph. Its core idea is to treat workflows like a graph, where every node is either a function or a call to an LLM. And this structure, it's absolutely perfect for complex, cyclical processes. So for example, say an agent is booking a trip and a flight is unavailable. A graph lets it just loop right back to the search for flights node and try again, instead of having the whole task fail. So, the crucial thing to remember about LangGraph is that it's fantastic at managing state during long, complex tasks. Its killer feature is what's called human-in-the-loop control, which lets you pause the process for a person to give the OK. This is absolutely essential for enterprise stuff like in finance or legal. But all that power comes with a much steeper learning curve.
Now, on the complete other end of the spectrum, you have the OpenAI Agents SDK. Its whole philosophy is about one thing: simplicity. It gives you just a few core, minimalist building blocks or primitives that are designed to be incredibly easy for developers to just pick up and start using.
The SDK's real strength is its Python-first design. It lets developers build agents with just a few lines of pretty standard Python code. It's awesome for getting a prototype up and running fast. The main trade-off? It doesn't have any long-term memory built in, though it is designed to easily connect to an external database to handle that. Now for a really interesting one, CrewAI. Its entire model is based on how humans collaborate. You actually create a crew of agents, and you give each one a specific role, a goal, and even a backstory, like a researcher agent that passes what it finds to a fact-checker agent.
This role-playing model is super intuitive, and it means you can get things deployed incredibly fast. That's made it a favorite for things like marketing automation. The downsides are that having all these agents coordinate can sometimes lead to higher latency and token costs, and it doesn't offer the same kind of granular human oversight that a framework like LangGraph does.
Next up is Microsoft's AutoGen. It's built on what's called an actor-based model, and it's designed for complex conversations between multiple agents. Think of it as a way to build teams of agents that can actually debate, give each other feedback, and coordinate to solve a problem together.
This makes AutoGen exceptionally good for things like research tasks and complex simulations. Plus, its AutoGen Studio gives you a low-code, drag-and-drop interface. Its main challenge is that the conversational model can feel a bit rigid if you're trying to do tasks that aren't really based on dialogue. And finally, we have LlamaIndex. Now, it started out as the go-to tool for data indexing and retrieval augmented generation. You've probably heard that called RAG. It's the process of giving an LLM access to outside knowledge. Since then, it's grown into a full-blown agent framework. But its DNA has always been, and still is, all about the data.
And that data-centric DNA is its primary strength. LlamaIndex is purpose-built for data-heavy agents that need to chew through huge internal knowledge bases with rock-solid reliability. It's got features like checkpointing to make sure long-running tasks don't just fail halfway through. For simple chat tasks, it's probably overkill, but for enterprise data automation, it is a top contender.
Now, the frameworks we've just walked through are incredibly powerful, but the ground is shifting beneath them. The underlying language models themselves are becoming so intelligent that they're starting to change the very definition of what a framework even needs to do.
Take a look at this number, 80.9%. That's the score Claude Opus 4.5 just got on a benchmark for autonomous coding, and it's the first time any model has broken the 80% barrier. What this really shows is that models now have native reasoning capabilities. They can plan and self-correct without needing as much handholding from a framework.
This massive leap in model intelligence is fueling a whole new trend, the rise of no-code and low-code platforms. You've got tools like Salesforce's Agentforce and Google's AgentSpace that are letting business users, not just developers, build their own sophisticated agents using simple, visual, drag-and-drop interfaces.
So with this crazy, fast-moving landscape of frameworks, smarter models, and no-code tools, what's the right move? Let's try to distill all of this down into a clear, strategic playbook for you. Here are the 4 key actions. First, pick your framework based on the specific use case. LangGraph for complex logic, OpenAI for speed, LlamaIndex for data. Second, prioritize interoperability. Use open standards like A2A, that's the agent-to-agent communication protocol, so your agents can talk to each other no matter what framework they're built on. This helps you avoid getting locked into one vendor. Third, you have to implement observability tools to keep track of these unpredictable systems. And finally, always focus on the business ROI. Measure your success by things like how many tasks get completed, not just how cool the model is.
Look, we are moving from a world where we simply use software to one where we manage teams of autonomous digital workers. And that really leaves us with one final critical question to think about. Your competitors are already building these teams, so are you ready to manage yours?